My name is Derek Paulson, and I've been a state trooper in Arizona for 17 years. I've seen a lot in this profession: horrific accidents, high-speed chases, people lying to my face without blinking. I thought that after all this time, nothing would surprise me anymore. I was wrong. It was a November night in 2019, around 11:30. I was patrolling Interstate 10, that deserted stretch between Phoenix and Tucson where there's almost nothing but cacti and darkness. The kind of place where you can drive for half an hour without seeing another car. My body cam was on, as it always is during my shift. You don't even think about it anymore. It's become automatic. I saw a silver Civic, somewhat crooked in the right lane, driving erratically. It would accelerate and decelerate for no apparent reason, a classic sign of a drunk driver or someone under the influence of some substance. I turned on my lights and siren. The car took a good 20 seconds to pull over to the side of the road. That already put me on alert. I approached from the driver's side, flashlight in my left hand, right hand near my holster. Standard procedure. The guy rolled down the window before I even asked. White man, in his early 40s, unshaven, strong smell of cigarettes coming from inside the car. He was sweating, but the night was cold. Hands on the steering wheel, eyes wide. "Good evening, sir. Driver's license and vehicle documents, please." He handed me the documents, his hand trembling. Name: Robert Callahan. Address: in Mesa. I asked if he'd been drinking. He swore he hadn't. No smell of alcohol, just cigarettes. But something was very wrong. The way he was breathing, too fast. The way he avoided looking back. "Are you traveling alone tonight?" He hesitated, just for a second, but he hesitated. "Yes, official, alone." "He is sure?" "Absolute." I pointed my flashlight at the back seat. Empty. Passenger seat too. No suitcases, no bags. The car looked too clean, actually. Clean like someone who just got rid of something. "Can I take a look in the trunk?" He grew even paler. Sure, no problem." I went back to my car to check the system. No arrest warrant, no outstanding issues. The license plate matched the registration. Everything seemed normal on paper, but my instincts screamed that something was wrong. I called for backup anyway. The nearest unit was 20 minutes away. I went back to the Civic. Robert had lit another cigarette. He was smoking nervously, shaking. His leg. I asked him to get out of the car slowly and stand near the side. He obeyed. When he opened the door, a blast of cold air came out of the vehicle. Too cold, as if the air conditioning had been left on full blast, but the car was off. I opened the rear right door and shone the flashlight on it. Nothing. Empty seat, clean carpet, strange smell, kind of sweet and rotten at the same time. I couldn't identify it. I ran my hand under the seat. Nothing. That's when I heard a soft cry, like a child's. I froze. I slowly turned my head towards Robert. He was as white as a sheet, staring blankly at the floor. "What was that?" "I don't know what you're talking about." The crying continued. It was definitely coming from inside the car, but there was no one there. I looked back at the back seat. It was still empty. "Is there a child in this car, sir?" "No! I swear I don't. I'm alone." His voice sounded strange, choked. I looked again. I shone the flashlight all around the interior. Nothing. But the crying wouldn't stop. It wasn't loud, but it was clear. A muffled cry, as if coming from behind a wall. I opened the other back door, also empty. I opened the trunk, only the spare tire and some old tools. The crying continued. "Where is that sound coming from?" Robert began to tremble. Not from cold, from pure panic. "I don't know. I swear to God, I don't know." I went back to the back seat. This time I looked more closely. That's when I saw it. A shadow. It wasn't really a shadow. It was more like the air had become denser in a specific spot. A dark blur on the middle seat where there shouldn't have been anything. I blinked. It was still there. I blinked again. The shape became clearer. A child, sitting in the back seat. My heart raced. I took a step back, instinctively reaching for my holster. The child was there. He had just appeared out of nowhere. A boy, about 5 or 6 years old, dark hair, light-colored clothes. He wasn't moving. He just stared straight. Ahead with empty eyes. "Sir, there's a boy in your car." "What? No, it doesn't have it. It can't have it." "Yes, it does. It's sitting right there." Robert ran to the door and looked inside. When he saw, he staggered backward and fell to his knees on the floor. "No, no, no, it can't be him, it can't be—" "Who is he?" Robert started to cry. Not the kind of crying someone does trying to gain pity. It was real, raw despair. "My son. Is my son. Is your son there with you?" "No, my son died. He died 3 years ago." The crying inside the car stopped. Total silence. I looked at the boy again. He was still there, but now his head had slowly turned towards me. He was looking at me. His eyes were deep, too dark, without any shine. I felt a chill run down my spine. I tried to stay calm. I took a deep breath. "Sir, I need you to explain to me now what's going on." Robert ran his hands through his hair, pulling hard. "I crashed the car. It was my fault. I was on my phone. I didn't see the curve. We rolled over. I survived. He didn't. He was 5 years old. 5 years old." I looked at the boy again. He was still there, motionless, staring at me. "And what is he doing here?" "I don't know. He appears sometimes. Every time I take this road, always on this same stretch. I swear I'm not crazy. He appears in the rearview mirror. I look back and there's nothing there, but when I turn back to the mirror, he's there." My mouth went dry. I'd heard stories before. Every police officer has heard them. Strange calls, houses where something seemed wrong, witnesses swearing they'd seen impossible things. But I'd never seen it with my own eyes. Up until that moment, the boy stirred. Slowly, very slowly, he raised his hand and pointed ahead, north, in the direction from where Robert was coming. "What is he pointing at?" Robert looked and sobbed. "The accident site. It's 10 kilometers from here. He always points that way." I picked up my radio. My voice came out more shaky than I wanted. "Central, this is Unit 7-3. I need immediate backup, and I think we need a chaplain as well." "Confirm, 7-3? A chaplain?" "Confirmed." I looked at the back seat again. The boy was gone. He simply wasn't there anymore, as if he'd never been. But I saw him. The body cam recorded it. I was sure of it. Robert remained on the ground, crying. "He won't leave me alone. Every time I pass by here, he appears. I've tried other routes, but I always end up coming back to this one. It's like he's pulling me." "Did you come here on purpose?" He nodded, wiping his face with his sleeve. "Every week, sometimes twice. I can't stay away. It's where I last saw him, alive." The backup arrived 15 minutes later. 2 more police officers. I tried to explain the situation, but it sounded absurd even to me. They looked at the car, at Robert, at me. Nobody saw anything unusual. But when we checked the body cam right there on the patrol car's laptop, we all fell silent. I was there. In the first frames, the back seat was empty. Then frame by frame, a dark blur began to appear. It grew denser. It took shape. It became a boy, as clear as any real person, sitting there, looking. None of us spoke for a long time. One of the policemen, a veteran, a guy who's been working longer than me, murmured softly, "I've heard of that stretch of road. There are stories, too many accidents, people who swear they've seen things." We had Robert take a breathalyzer test, 0 alcohol, drug test as a precaution, negative. He was completely sober, just devastated. We took him to the police station, not for any crime, just because we couldn't let the guy go back on the road like that. We called social services. He needed help, not the kind we could give. Before leaving, I went back to the exact spot where the car had stopped. I looked north. There was a somewhat faded sign a few meters ahead marking the kilometer. I wrote it down. The next morning, I went to the accident file. I found the report. Robert was telling the truth. 3 years earlier, on that same stretch of road, a silver Honda Civic had rolled over. The driver survived with minor injuries. The passenger, a 5-year-old child, died at the scene. Name, Ethan Callahan. There was a photo attached to the report, a photo of the child, taken while the child was alive, probably by the family for school documentation. It was him, the same boy I saw in the back seat. Same. Clothes, Same hair, same deep-set eyes. I stared at the photo for an immeasurable amount of time. My mind tried to find a rational explanation. Reflected light, camera trick, imagination working together with the power of suggestion. But no matter how many excuses I invented, the truth remained there, etched in my memory. I saw that boy. He appeared in the back seat of a car where, seconds before, there had been nothing. A body cam doesn't lie. I went back to patrol the same area a few nights later, not out of obligation, out of morbid curiosity perhaps, or because I needed to know if it had been real. I drove past the accident site about 3 times that night. Nothing happened, but on the 4th time, almost at the end of my shift, I saw the silver Civic again, same license plate. Robert was there, stopped on the shoulder. Car was off. He was sitting in the driver's seat, his head resting on the steering wheel. I stopped behind him. I didn't turn on the lights. I just got out and approached slowly. I knocked on the window. He looked up. His eyes were red and swollen. "I can't stop coming here." "I know." "He's here again, in the back seat. I can see him in the rearview mirror." I looked in the rearview mirror from the outside. I didn't see anything, but I believed him. "Have you ever thought about moving, leaving the state?" He laughed, a bitter laugh, devoid of any humor. "I've tried. I even went to Nevada, but the guilt won't go away. I killed my son. I took his life because of a stupid text message, and now he's haunting me. I can't blame him. It's not persecution. I think it's something else." "What?" I didn't know how to answer. I'm neither a priest nor a psychologist. I'm just a police officer who saw something he can't explain. I stayed there with him for another half hour. We didn't talk much. We just sat there. Him in his car, me leaning against the police car, looking at the dark desert, listening to the wind. Before I left, he asked, "Do you believe in ghosts?" "I don't know. I think I believe in things we don't understand." "It's the same." "Maybe so." I never saw Robert again after that night. I heard from another police officer that he ended up leaving Arizona. I don't know where he went. I hope he found some peace. I doubt it, but I hope so. The body cam footage was archived. I showed it to some trusted colleagues. No one could explain it. One of them said it was a video compression problem. Another said it was a reflection from the flashlight. But both looked away when the image of the boy became clear. Sometimes I still patrol that area. It's been more than 5 years. I haven't seen anything since, but whenever I pass the kilometer marker, I slow down. I look in the rearview mirror. I involuntarily hold my breath, because now I know. You have things that happen on that road, things that we can't explain with science or logic, things that get stuck between what was and what should have been. And sometimes, when the night is very quiet and the wind blows in a strange way, I swear I hear that faint crying again, coming from nowhere, coming from everywhere. My body cam keeps recording, always on, always recording, because if it happens again, I want proof. I need proof, because nobody believes it until they see it with their own eyes, and even when he sees, he still doubts. There was one night, about 8 months after Robert's case, that changed everything for me again. I had almost convinced myself that it was an isolated event, an anomaly, something that happens once in a lifetime and never happens again. But I was wrong. It was summer, unbearable heat even after the sun went down, that kind of Arizona heat that clings to your skin and won't go away. I was on the same stretch of Interstate 10, patrolling alone, night shift, a little after 2 a.m., traffic practically non-existent. I saw a cargo truck stopped on the shoulder with its emergency lights flashing. I approached slowly. The truck driver was outside smoking, a tall black man about 50 years old. When he saw the police car, he threw his cigarette on the ground and stomped on it. I got out and introduced myself. He said his name was Marcus. I asked if everything was all right, if he needed a tow truck. He hesitated before answering. He looked at the truck and then at me. "Officer, I need to tell you something, but you're going to think I'm crazy." My stomach clenched. That phrase, I'd heard it before. He can talk. "There's someone in my truck, inside the cab. But when I open the door, there's no one there. I felt a shiver run up my arms, even in the heat. Explain that better. Marcus lit another cigarette, his hands trembling. I was driving normally. I looked in the rearview mirror to check the cargo, and I saw a figure in the back seat of the cab. I thought it was a shadow, but then the figure moved. I turned my head to look directly. Nothing. I looked back in the mirror. There it was again. A woman, sitting behind me, looking at me. A woman? That's it. Long black hair, white dress, pale face. She didn't blink. She just kept staring at me in the mirror. And did you stop the truck? I stopped immediately. I grabbed my flashlight and opened the cabin. I searched everywhere. Under the seat, behind the seats, in the cargo compartment. Nothing. I went back to the driver's seat. I looked in the mirror. She was there again, closer this time, leaning forward, as if she wanted to tell me something. I looked at the truck. The cab was lit by the interior light. It seemed empty. Is she still there? I don't know. I haven't been back there for about 20 minutes. To be honest, I'm scared. I grabbed my flashlight and approached the cabin. I slowly opened the driver's side door. The smell of stale coffee and diesel. I shone the light in every direction. The back seat was empty, no sign that anyone had been there. I climbed into the truck and sat in the driver's seat. I adjusted the rear view mirror to my position. I looked, my blood froze. She was there, sitting in the back seat, black hair falling in front of her face, white dress stained with dirt, pale hands in her lap. She stared at me without blinking. I turned my head so fast I twisted my neck. Nothing in the back seat. Absolutely nothing. I looked in the mirror again. She was still there, closer now, leaning in, her mouth slightly open as if she were about to speak. I stumbled out of the truck. Marcus looked at me startled. Did you see? I couldn't answer right away. I took several deep breaths. So I'm not crazy. No, it's not. I grabbed my radio but stopped before pressing the button. What was I going to say? That there was a ghost woman in a truck? That she only appeared in the mirror? They'd send me for a psychological evaluation right away. Officer, I can't drive this truck. I just can't. I understand. What do I do? I thought fast. I called a tow truck. I made up some technical excuse. Engine. Problem. I offered Marcus a ride to the nearest gas station where he could rest. He accepted, relieved. During the journey, he told me he'd been on that route for 15 years. He'd never seen anything strange before. This was the first time. I asked if he knew the history of that road. He said he'd heard rumors, too many accidents, too many deaths. Some people say that this stretch of road is cursed. I always thought that was nonsense. Until now. I dropped Marcus off at the gas station. He thanked me about 5 times. He said he'd wait until dawn before going back to the truck. I gave him my card so he could call me if he needed anything. I went back to where the truck was. The tow truck had arrived and was getting ready to tow it. I approached the cab once more. The interior light was still on. I looked through the window. She was there in the reflection, sitting, motionless, watching me. But when I looked directly at the bench, it was still empty. I asked the tow truck driver to take a look too. He frowned but obeyed. He climbed into the cab. He looked in the mirror. He came out pale. What the hell is that? Did you see? I saw something. I don't know what it was. We both stood there not knowing what to do. Then I had an idea. I manually switched my BODYCAM to direct mode and climbed back into the cabin. I positioned the camera so that it filmed the rearview mirror. The woman was there, clear as day, or clear as night in this case. I recorded about 30 seconds. Then I filmed the back seat directly, empty. I went back to the mirror. There she was, always in the reflection, never in direct reality. When I arrived at the police station that morning, I was exhausted. I hadn't slept. I immediately transferred the video to the computer. I watched it alone first. The woman was there, clearly. No room for error or interpretation. I showed it to the sergeant. He watched silently. When he finished, he took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. Derek, how many years have you been in service? 17. Do you drink? Socially, nothing out of the ordinary. Do you use any medication? No. He sighed deeply. This video can't leak. If it gets on the internet, it'll become a circus. We'll become a joke. I know, but we can't ignore it either. There's another police officer who saw it. There's the truck driver. There's the tow truck driver. What do you suggest? He stared at the computer screen for a long time. I'll file this as evidence of an unclassified incident. It won't disappear, but it won't circulate either. And you'll continue patrolling as normal. If it happens again, document it. But discreetly. Just that. What else do you want me to do? Call an exorcist? I didn't answer because, honestly, I didn't know what to say. It happened again 2 weeks later, this time with a minivan. A family traveling, father, mother, and 2 children. They had pulled over to the side of the road because the children were scared. They said there was a woman sitting between them in the back seat, but the parents didn't see anyone. When I got there, the children were crying, an 8-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. They were pointing to the back seat and shouting that the lady was there. I looked. Empty. The parents were desperate, thinking their children were having some kind of collective breakdown. I excused myself and looked in the minivan's rearview mirror. An elderly woman was sitting between the two. And child seats, grey hair tied in a bun, round glasses, serious expression. She looked at me as if she were waiting for me to do something. I got out of the car and took a deep breath. The children were still terrified. I asked if they could describe the woman. The description matched exactly what I had seen in the mirror. I didn't tell the parents what I had seen. It wouldn't have done any good besides scaring them more. I suggested they see a pediatrician because it could be some kind of travel stress issue. They thanked me and left, but the children looked out the back window as the car drove away. They looked as if they could still see someone there. I started researching on my own. Accident history on that stretch of road. In the last 20 years, 43 fatal accidents had been recorded. 43. In a stretch of less than 15 kilometers. Most involved rear-end collisions, rollovers, or vehicles leaving the road without apparent explanation. As if the drivers simply lost control or became distracted out of nowhere. I found a strange pattern. Many of the victims were women and children. And many of the accidents happened at the same kilometer marker, the same one where Robert had lost his son. I went back to the older files, the 80s, the 70s. The pattern continued, always that same stretch of road, always more accidents than would be statistically normal. I spoke with retired veteran police officers. One of them, a guy named Jim who worked in the area in the 90s, told me something I'll never forget. That stretch of road was always cursed, kid, even before it was paved. Back then it was just dirt, and even then things happened. Horses that would stop out of nowhere and refuse to continue. Carts overturning for no reason. The indigenous people of the region avoided passing through there. They said it was land of trapped spirits. Trapped spirits? That's what they said. People who died violently and were trapped between worlds. Condemned to relive the moment of death forever. It seemed crazy, but after what I had seen, I no longer doubted anything. I started patrolling that stretch every night. It became an obsession. I needed to understand. I needed to see more, and I did. Figures on the shoulders of the road, shadows crossing the road, faces in the rearview mirrors. Always different, always there. My BODYCAM recorded everything. I created a secret folder on my personal computer. Dozens of videos, hundreds of images, evidence that no one besides me and a few close colleagues had seen. I even thought about leaking everything, sending it to some paranormal website. But I knew it wouldn't do any good. They'd say it was fake, special effects, camera trick, because that's what we do when we see something we can't explain. We discard it, we ignore it, we invent it. The apologies. But I know what I saw. I know what I continue to see. And I know that that road holds secrets that no one will be able to explain. Not with science, not with logic, maybe never,